Okay, so hopefully you want to trade at Onyx Markets, but you need inspiration to trade. So here with me is Alex Davies, who is the co-head of our brokerage that's existed for 5 years now and is focused on being a niche brokerage and adding that kind of customer service, trade ideas, things like that to professional and corporates. So Alex, why don't you just start, what you do here and ultimately your journey from like complete novice ultimately to, you would consider yourself an expert and you're providing a lot of intel to the market. So why don't you just go over that?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, initially when we first started, we appreciate that the market was very overbroked. There's a lot of people showing similar numbers, showing the same numbers, and scrapping around for the same things.
And the more traditional broker was basically just acting as a pure intermediate, right? Literally just, it's a voice traded market. So in order to trade the other side, you need someone to literally call up the other side. So I guess that's what traditionally brokers do in this market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, that's where we came in, and we thought there was a bit of a niche in the market for, adding a little bit more value in terms of how we operate.
Yeah.
So with that, we try and be, somewhat of a trader assistant for our clients.
Yeah.
Understanding the markets, understanding the flows, having an opinion on where we think things are going to go. On the back of that, sort of producing trade ideas for some of our clients now who, actively trade these trade ideas as well.
Yeah.
And, from history, it's been quite profitable for them as well. And also, it generates some conversations with people as well, where they might not have had an opinion on that particular product or that particular contract.
Yeah.
And you can bounce ideas off each other and, form a stronger hypothesis than what you first imagined.
Yeah, it's always useful to have a sounding board. I mean, that's people use stockbrokers like that historically, and even now, right? We all have the use for sounding boards and things like that. What we have to make clear is that, unfortunately, retail investors, the regulation is clear. You cannot be giving trade ideas and advice to retail customers. That's strictly for professionals and corporates. Nevertheless, you're still there as a customer service to discuss what you can discuss. And about, I guess, it'll probably more be about information gathering, pointing them to certain things, making sure, they can form a coherent narrative, I guess is probably the way to put it. But either way, that's what you've been doing for a long time. I think it's a very good way to put it as a trader assistant. But I guess the first question someone would ask themselves, and I've seen it, every junior trader, every junior broker like yourself, who am I to have an opinion on the market? So that must have been, you remember thinking like that, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first time I got told to make a trade idea, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was just plucking things out of the sky. But
Okay.
I think what's important is obviously the trade idea comes last, and that probably comes into the retail stuff where you generate all this information and try and decipher it and put something together on the back of it. And on the back of it, like a trade idea almost forms on its own because you're understanding what's going on. If there's tight supplies in high sulfur fuel oil in Singapore, for example, you can generate trade ideas on the back of that. So that's just the last bit.
Yeah.
And it's more the information gathering and using us to understand what's going on in the market, certain flows, because your ideas aren't 100% right all the time, right? I mean, if they
Rarely,
were,
yeah.
I mean, if they were, then
Yeah.
it'd be all right, wouldn't it?
That's the thing, it's not gambling, right? We're trying to get a
Yeah.
consistent return if you can, which it's all about risk management. So, this is not, I hate when people say, that's just for professional traders, or they're just so special and, us local people don't have a clue. No, it's a skill that you can very much learn very quickly. It's like anything. You just got to learn the process and you got to be disciplined. So I guess that's the majority of what makes you a trader or skilled investor. But I like what you're saying about the trade idea coming at the end, because if you're analyzing the market, what's going on, what fundamental information can I gather about the underlying physical market? How are people positioned? We've got that information for free. What are the charts doing? What's the volatility doing? That's just markets, right? You get a good feel for it. You might be at the high end of the range, low end of the range. You might be on a trend, use your technical analysis, whatever it is, get a feel for it, have an understanding, bounce ideas off a broker, bounce idea of people online, whatever. And then it's like, okay, I think I can spot an opportunity. And I guess that's a really good way of putting it. It comes out at the end, because if you're patient and you analyze, you will come up with ideas. So it shouldn't be actually your focus. Focus on analysis, focus on understanding, and then focus on risk management, right?
Yeah.
So if it's this is something we drilled into you, right? It's trading is as much about trader psychology and your own psychology and positioning your risk as anything else. So you can't just be like, the market's going to go up, so I'm going to buy. What are you going to buy? What type of contract? What's the volatility of it? Like, where should your stop be if you want to protect yourself? How do you manage your capital and risk reward and all these things? And I think that's certainly something you're definitely on standby to discuss, right? Getting people comfortable with their trade as they've reflected it and making sure that they're kind of got the right guidance before they put that on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like going back to the risk management that you said as well, that's massive, right?
Yeah.
Everyone says that like 80% of retail lose money. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a risk management system.
That's actually true. There's a study that said actually the win-loss is above 60% in a lot of cases, if not most cases, but they still lose money 80% of the time because they run their losses and cut their winners, which is the complete inverse of what you're meant to do. So it's just getting familiar with how to be a trader or investor, right?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a brave person to cut their losses, right? When it's coming down, if you've got an opinion, you always think that the market's going to rally back in your favor, but sometimes you just have to.
All that kind of bias, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's time. Like this is not like we're starting this revolution for the retail trader. This has been going on for a long time. The equity markets got completely democratized, and now 50% of retail trading in the US, equity trading in the US is retail now, and it's just getting more and more. We've again like leveled that playing field. They have, so that I'm not concerned about people and retail traders, professionals, everyone being able to come up with ideas and being able to do this. It's just as long as we are providing what we can, so that we hope people are doing it in the right way. I guess that's the only job. So I guess we're talking more like retail and maybe some more professional, independent people who want ideas or help. But there's experienced people as well, right? And at the end of the day, I think it's massive Onyx markets that you could be sitting outside of the markets, but you are an expert. And you might be retired, garden leave, whatever it is. You might be able to trade this market that you know how to trade, but you can't. So Onyx Markets comes along, gives you Flux, which is on market, data, knowing where the market is, access to yourself and your brokers. You can basically provide you the exact same desk conditions as you would get trading at a company that you get at home now. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think it's a well-known fact that traders get a lot of information from their brokers.
Yeah.
And when you leave that,
you feel in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. You've got nobody there to really help you, and you're on your own.
Yeah.
Whereas you still have access to us. We still know what's going on in the market. You still have access, like you said, to Flux. Live curves, live prices, updating every millisecond. That's massive, and the charts as well. All the research. You're basically in your own seat.
Yeah, but just to re-emphasize your first point, because this is an OTC market in the sense that a lot of the trades are done voice traded and not on screens, and we know obviously that's going to change probably quite rapidly with what we're doing, for example. The power of moving markets is disproportionately governed by like quite a small number of people. So it's useful to know, look, there's one or two trade houses we're hearing in the market are buying a lot of volume or whatever. That has a huge impact on this kind of niche markets. As it grows and grows, it will be less so, but it's very useful to have a broker because of how few people there are. And the only way to know, what's going on and collate the information is to be in it because of the lack of screen, right? So that, just to emphasize, I think you've still got a hugely important role to play in that sense. So I guess the other side of this, so retail professional traders sitting at home, whatever, you've also got the corporates, right? And the hedging stuff I've gone over with Julian in another video, corporate hedging. But even the traditional trade house, people who are in the market right now, I mean, this is not for them either, right? The whole point is we're giving the same numbers in the market to people trading with Onyx Markets. So what is the difference? Why would people bother using Onyx Markets if they've got access to the exchange right now?
Yeah, so there's more stuff in terms of like the cash management as well. So we're offering pretty favorable margins. People are able to trade leverage on the accounts. So the amount of money you put down is actually quite favorable to trade houses as well. It spreads your risk a little bit. You don't have to put everything on the exchange.
Yeah, it's good cash management at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it gives you an extra option.
And if you're trading the same prices with us in the exchange versus Onyx Markets, it's just a cash thing, right?
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think as well, you look at, because it is with us, we're able to, offer these like niche sizes. So when you have a certain amount of exposure, that it might be, 170 tons or something, which might not necessarily be able to be hedged on the exchanges, we can take that down.
Yes, the exchanges have their minimum sizes they can clear as block trades. So, if it's with us, it's any size really, right? Small and even large or specific or whatever. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and then also the time it takes for sort of new companies to set up on these exchanges can take months, even years sometimes. We've got a couple of guys going through it now on the brokerage side, and we're waiting months and months for everything to go through and, dotting the I's and crossing the T's and whatnot. So with us, you can set up I think we were saying 2 days. It's probably going to be quicker than that as well if we get all of our ducks in a line and everyone else can do it. So you can literally sign up, deposit your money, and you're free to trade straight away.
Yeah, that's quite a big
So
deal.
yes, it's so easy to be able to, have access to the markets almost instantaneously.
Great. I guess so. That's more like trade houses now, people trading right now, and then I guess there's the hedging side of it as well. Like again, like we went through it a bit with Julian in terms of the kind of small to medium enterprises, but then there's the larger hedges, right? You still have an impact or a use from an advisory perspective, right? You want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so that's sort of in our more day-to-day brokerage in general anyway, but that still filters into what we're offering now. We had a couple of guys out of Dubai and Middle East as well, more of the Middle East, who were looking at hedging cargoes. So they had a cargo of gas oil and it was on an AG pricing, so Arab Gulf. And we know liquidity is probably not as amazing as sort of a Sing 10 ppm, which is Sing gas oil, and the difference is a freight differential. But they didn't necessarily know that, so they were asking us how they can hedge this cargo of gas oil AG and how they can get close to their actual exposure.
Yeah.
So we were suggesting to trade the Sing 10 ppm because it has a correlation to the AG contract as well, just with a freight differential. So they had the option to trade the freight as well, but but ultimately they managed to get their hedge away and it was as close to their physical as possible.
So that's obviously very specific stuff. It's good insight into like how deep it can get, and I guess that's what the beauty of the oil swaps market, right? The whole point is the specificity. And it seems like really, I mean, you didn't know anything 4 or 5 years ago, right? And now you're talking like this, deep expertise. So I'm very confident, people can get on board. It's just learning a language, right? And that's what you're there to help do. Is there anything else you would like to, we covered basically all the different types of people that would kind of need inspiration to trade. Is there any advice, for example, you would give to someone looking into this market?
I mean, fundamentally, I think it's just give it a go. Like, you've got everything you need from my personal opinion in what to be able to set up and trade. You've got us behind you. You've got, even for the retail guys, right? We can't give trade ideas, but like I said, it's the end point that the trade ideas come out. So you've got the research, you've got our knowledge, you've got the flux, the data, which is massive. You have a live curve, and there's not a lot of people out there that necessarily know where the price of a certain contract is when you're looking at, an Eastern fuel contract in high sulfur. Like, you can't really Google that, right?
Yeah,
it's not going to update every day. So we have that, everyone knows where things are and how things move, and they have us as well. So
I would add you should be trading this as well. If you're trading, Tesla stocks and, Solano and all these like random things, you've got to have some kind of exposure to the real oil economy, not your Brent WTI. That's a blunt instrument, right? You need to be in this market as much as you would be in bonds or anything else. It's part of the economy. It's here to trade. So you should be trading it, right?
Yeah.
All right, Alec, thanks.